everybody's asking, government shutdown, the loss of food stamps. What is my take on all of it? Well, I'm outside doing chores. It's 21 degrees and it's in the middle of the day and I am working on chores. I'm going to share with you my take on all of this and what it really means to me. For you see, I am not just a prepper, I'm a homesteader. And a homesteader can be very different from being a prepper. So I hope you stay tuned for this informative video. What are my thoughts about all of the things that have been happening in this world? It's not a whole lot for me to discuss, except for what does it mean to me about government shutdowns and not having food stamps and all of these things that we're hearing about in the news. Nothing is new. We've been hearing about things like this for years. But I'm going to share with you a little bit of my perspective on things, and my perspective is a little different because I'm a homesteader. Well, what is a homesteader? Well, I take a piece of land, I grow my food with it, I take a piece of land, I have animals, livestock on it, I have a house, and I homestead it. One can be a prepper. A prepper is somebody who goes out and they buy food and they store it and stock it up. I understand not everyone can be a homesteader, and you might have some physical limitations. You may not be able to have an acre of ground. There's a lot of things you maybe can't have. The difference between me and a lot of channels that you see is I live it. I live it every single day of my life. I haul water. I heat my water by the stove. I heat with wood. I have animals. I raise most of my food on my 1 acre property. I do this all. This is my lifestyle. I wake up every morning and live as if we wouldn't have the government. This is how I live. I don't just do drills in order to see what it would be like. This is my life. I use oil lamps. I do things such an old-fashioned way that for me, things like this don't really affect me very much. The plain lifestyle. Now, Grandma Fannie, you are hearing her diary. And so many people ask me, well, what happened in the world? Why isn't she talking about the world? Talking about the wars and Hitler and all of that. Those things didn't affect her very much. She was a farm wife. She lived on the farm. She raised her own food, raised her own grains, raised her own livestock. Wash out when it's 20 degrees like I do. She has her own livestock. She had her own chickens. She had all of these things. So the things of the world didn't affect her like it would affect somebody who lived in the city. Yes, times were very hard in those days, but they weren't like it would affect people in the cities. I don't know what it's like to rely on any kind of government assistance. I don't have anything to do with the government, almost in every aspect, even other aspects that I don't even share with you all. I am not reliant on the government for any reason. I understand there are elderly and there are children that rely on the government, and there are going to be some victims in all of this, and it is very sad because there are people that really abuse the system, and that really then hurts the people that don't abuse the system. But for me, this is my life. This is how I live every single day. I am not just a prepper. I'm a homesteader. I've learned how to raise my own food. I've learned how to make my own soap. I learned how to take tallow, and I learned how to render fat. I know all of these things, and it's about knowledge, but it's about skills. You can read everything you want in the book, but if you don't have the daily skills of it, you won't understand. And so people are asking me, well, what is your take on it? You know, what is your take on all of it? My take on all of it. do what you can and prepare it with how you can, but do it diligently. You know, we can't just all of a sudden run into a frenzy and say we're going to do this and we're going to do that, and then find out that the government goes back on track, the food stamps go back on track, and then we forget all about it. It has to be a lifestyle. You have to choose to live this way if you really want to be prepared. So many times people get excited and they quick run out and they quick buy all kinds of food and they do all of these things because they think the end is near. And then when things get good, they go right back to what they were doing before. And I want to share with you, it's a lifestyle. It is Little House on the Prairie, and it's not for everyone. It's not easy. I am going to be 49 years old tomorrow. I have to haul out buckets of water. 1 5-gallon bucket is 40 pounds, and I have to do that 5-6 times a day. I have to haul out hundreds of pounds of water out a day. I've learned to use less water, but still it's physically challenging to learn to live without the amenities that are provided. So these are my thoughts on it, and this is just for me in everyday life. I don't have a TV. I don't watch the news. I really don't know what goes on in the world, and you know what? I'm prepared for whatever. This is my life. This is something I enjoy doing. This is something that I enjoy living. It is a purposeful living. It's a simplistic living. But read in your books and learn to do things. Don't just read it, do it. And if you can't grow things, learn other survival skills. You know, of course, my philosophy in life is don't live in the cities. Don't live in the urban areas. But I know that's not for everyone, and I know they can't do that. And so you need to learn to do with what you can with what you have, and learn to do things and learn to know what it's like to live without things. Because, my friends, if it doesn't happen tomorrow or this year or next year, our children and our grandchildren, our great-grandchildren, somebody someday is going to have to live through some very difficult times. I believe that. I believe that you can only live a certain way for so long, like our world has lived, and not have something come back. You cannot borrow and borrow and borrow and borrow and never have to repay. That's with everything with life. That's with me, that's with you, and that's with our government. So, while the government fights around the round table, so to speak, and wondering who's going to get what and what's going to get who, I'm here doing my chores like nothing ever happened these last years. That when you have plenty, you store up so it can help you when you have the lean years. That's all what it's about. Storing up when you have good years for when you have bad years. So for me, being a homesteader is prepping, but learning how to supply your own needs and being self-sufficient. You know, you can prep all you want, you can buy all of the things in the store you want, but if you don't know how to provide for yourself, those things are going to run out. You know, learning how to create power, learning how to create power with methane gas, learning how to run things solar, learning all of these things, learning how to heat your house when you don't have electricity. All of these things you need to put into practice. Conditioning your body for hard times. I'm a big girl. I would be the first to admit that to you. I'm a strong girl. I can lift as much as a grown man can lift, if not even more. I can handle the cold. I'm out here and it's 21, 22 degrees. I'm not cold at all because I'm working. I've learned all of these skills, you know, and so for me, all of these things that are happening, I'm like Fannie. They will affect me, but they won't affect me like they may affect some people. These very dense places where they are up, way up on the 4th floor of an apartment, where everything comes to them by structures of electricity and things like that. But we're not to put fear, you know? We're not to put fear in our hearts for whatever may happen. It's just, I'm very thankful that I've foreseen all of this. And I bought a property where I am out a little bit in nowhere land compared to some. And my neighbors are a lot like me. I'm very thankful that I'm here and I can do pretty much whatever I please. And I can live a simplistic lifestyle. And I'm very thankful for that. So my theory to you is, do what you can with what you have. Do not stress it. Do not worry over it. But be proactive in your life. Don't just sit there and say, well, it's going to happen, there's nothing I can do. Because there's something that you all can do no matter where you are. Learn to can. Canning is a key. So many preppers are not talking about canning. Canning is a way to be, because even in the urban places, there are produce markets. There are places you can get food. Learn to can your own food. You're putting your health back into your hands and not the hands of some big manufacturers who really aren't watching the safety of your food. Can it, my friends. Can your food. It is the most frugal, cheapest way to go. And I hope that some of you take up canning. I know a lot of you older girls canned when you were younger. I would really recommend you get back into canning and get back into the things like that, preserving and things like that, because you are going to find satisfaction in it. You're going to have healthier eating because you're choosing what you're going to put into your body, and plus it gives you motivation and food security. So canning, my friends, is the key. And if you have anybody who wants to learn how to can, who is very much into learning self-sufficiency in this kind of way, I hope that you recommend my channel, because I live it every single day of my life. This is my life. This is how I live, and I would like to teach it to all of you. Take care, everyone. We'll see you guys tomorrow. If you like videos of self-sufficiency, check out the videos I have below. They're all about alternative ways that you can live and be more self-sufficient. If you like canning, check out these videos. I have hundreds of videos on my playlist on how to can everyday foods that you can find. Take care, everyone. We'll see you guys tomorrow.